All right, good morning. Today is a sunny day to talk about a kind of dark subject. It's shadow work. And shadow work's not actually that dark. It's kind of a fancy term for what Carl Jung discovered, I don't know, a few decades back, maybe a century back nowadays. And it was really the power of the subconscious mind and what the subconscious mind actually is. And a while back, it's actually kind of crazy. We didn't know what the subconscious mind was. We had no idea. It took hundreds and thousands and, I don't know, not millions, but thousands of years of humans being around for someone to piece together that, okay, there's the conscious mind, there's like the thinking mind. This is what I'm thinking. I'm shooting this video. I'm thinking, all right, let me make sure the microphone's picking up and I'm talking about shadow work. That's the conscious mind. And then there's something behind all that, which is the subconscious mind, and it's related to dreams and all kinds of other stuff. And that's what I want to talk about today. And I want to talk about how it might be affecting your life in a way that you don't know, and how you can learn to spot where the subconscious mind is popping up, so that you don't get into this like valley of despair that can really happen when you're just dominated by the subconscious mind and you're attracting all these situations that are really hard for you, all that kind of stuff. So the reason, well, I don't necessarily know the reason, but a lot of TikTokers and influencers and things like that, and possibly me in the title of this video, use this term shadow work. And there's all kinds of different therapies that are stemming off of subconscious mind work, and shadow work is, I don't know if it's an official therapy, but of course one, there's internal family systems therapy, Richard Schwartz, and they all work on fixing the subconscious mind, or maybe not fixing, but helping the human identify, hey, what's going on in my subconscious mind, and why is something popping up for me that's being a challenge. So, for example, you may be going about your life, and maybe someone is saying something to you that is very, very triggering and makes you just kind of feel like, dang, I hate when Stacy says that to me, or I hate when Jack makes that joke about something, right? Let's keep specific examples out of this. And for 90% of the people who hear that joke or hear Stacy say something, they're gonna be like, yeah, this is a funny joke, I really don't care. But for 10% of us, maybe 20%, it's gonna make us kind of feel something inside. And maybe let's use Jack as just this, I'm from Boston here, so let's use him as this gritty Boston guy. Maybe he made a joke about someone's mom, right? Maybe he made like a your mom joke. Very mature Jack. And for most people, they're fine with that. They don't care that he made that joke. But maybe you have some problems going on with your mom. Maybe you have some unresolved issues. I think pretty much everyone does, but everyone is at a different scale, right? And I know I've had some things that I've had to work out with my mom. It's great. And if I had not worked out certain things, or if you're in this Jack situation, right? He makes a joke about your mom. You hadn't worked something out. You're going to feel some kind of way about Jack, and you're going to feel some kind of way about this situation. In other words, there's a shadow lurking in you, and Jack was the trigger that helped bring out that shadow. Now, let's get real woo here. If you watch videos on law of detachment, which in a lot of ways for this series of videos, it might not stay like this forever, but law of detachment is in a lot of ways kind of like the basis of a lot of what we're talking about on this channel. So if you have not watched that, I'm pretty sure it's the first video on here. Feel free to watch it. But that video talks about vibrating at a certain frequency a lot. And we have the law of attraction, which is very commonly known, and everyone thinks that's the primary law. Like, oh, I'm going to attract, I'm going to manifest. Cool, go do that. The primary law is the law of vibration. So you vibrate at a certain frequency, a certain vibe, a certain mood. You're in a good mood, you attract good things. You're in a bad mood, you attract bad things, that kind of thing. Now, when you are attracting a shadow, let's get real woo here, I promised you. A piece of your body, piece of your soul, piece of your energetic frequency, however you want to let that sink in, is vibrating at a frequency that wants to attract Jack making a joke about your mom. A piece of that wants that, because there's a piece of that maybe it wants to be freed, maybe it wants to attract that in, whatever it wants. It's energy. It may or may not have desires. But a piece of you is vibrating at that frequency. And because you're vibrating at that frequency, you will attract situations that bring up things about your mom. And if you're very unhealed, or if you're very new, or if you have zero awareness about these subconscious triggers, it's going to be very painful, and a shadow is going to come out, and you're going to be around the coffee room having coffee and donuts and talking about the next big deal, and you're going to be vibing, and then Jack makes one joke and everyone's going to be like, wow, that dude switched up really quick. Something's on his mind. That's because the shadow is coming in, just completely consuming you. What's in the subconscious mind has now come into the conscious mind, and your conscious mind can't really focus on, I'm imagining Jack's at like a water cooler here at a job, right? So, if you're trying to focus on work, it's very hard to focus on work when there's this subconscious beast that has made its way into your conscious mind. So, now that we know this, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to let Jack just trigger us for eternity? Hell no. So, there's some pretty easy things that you can do to feel a little bit better about these triggers. So step one is really just identifying, hey, where am I getting triggered? And this could be so many little things. I'll share, nice and vulnerable with you here. I'll share with you, one of my triggers is like having a messy space. My space isn't always perfect, but for the most part, make sure I'm not completely lying, it's pretty clean in here. And this is my office. Back home, which is just in a different apartment building or different apartment unit, I live with my girlfriend Shannon, and Shannon is a human being and sometimes leaves stuff around, and that triggers me because it brings out the shadow, and it can really make me mad. Like, hey Shannon, like, can we please clean this up, right? I can't relax. You got all these different things, and I turn into this very hard to deal with beast because I have things in my past about organized spaces, right? I'm sure a decent amount of you can resonate with that. Not that big of a deal right now, that's serious. We're just talking about space around, like a clean space. But there's all kinds of other things that are a lot darker and a lot more intense. So step one is recognizing that, right? So if I go down the hall and I realize that I'm in a bad mood, if it's really messy, I can quickly identify, okay, this is just a shadow being brought up because it's messy in here. If it's clean in here, okay, maybe it's a different shadow, right? So identification is the first step. Now, once you identify, okay, this is the shadow, you want to start bringing in logistics. And this is where I don't want to say it can get tricky, but this is where you're going to need to start bringing in some kind of logistic, like for this Jack example, right? You may not necessarily be able to go and say to Jack, hey, please don't make mom jokes around me, right? That's kind of a weird vibe. Might not work out in the corporate space. I can go to my girlfriend and say, hey, I really like a clean space. Here's why it's important to me. That's easy enough. So based on the situation that's being brought up, the protocol for you healing that needs to be a little bit different, right? And we can't necessarily encompass all of this in this 10-minute YouTube video, but it's always going to start with you. So regardless of if there's another person involved, which there usually is, that I can or can't talk to, it's always going to start with you. So I can go start with Shannon, right, and say, hey, I need you to clean up more. I need to make sure this space is OCD perfect 100% of the time. That works. But I also need to train myself to identify, hey, where is this messy trigger coming from? And for me, I don't want to get too into this. Stuff in my childhood really gets brought up when I have this messy space for a bunch of different reasons. It doesn't matter. It's not about me. But right, I can identify, okay, it's this 8-year-old version of me that gets really upset because it's messy. And there's a part in me, there's this subconscious in me that's trying to protect me and pushing this nasty mood out to try to protect me so that I don't get around these messy apartment buildings ever. And that's of course very backwards, right? This is a mechanism that got brought up when I'm 8 years old or 7 years old, not when I'm 29. So we can develop a much better mental programming to not get so triggered by these things. So, let's go back to this Jack example. Hey, he's making mom jokes around the office. Great, maybe this makes me feel XYZ about my mom. Maybe I can reach out to my mom, maybe I can't. Regardless of what it is, you can always sit with the feeling. This is always my practice, that this is regardless, right? There's all these different variables. can I talk to this person? Is it intense? Is it actually intense, right? It can be all kinds of different situations. It can be the smallest thing that triggers you. When you do have a trigger, what I like to do and what I encourage you to do, if you want to do it, great. If not, it's okay, is just take time to just sit with it and ask it some questions. I know that can kind of seem weird, but it's a piece of your subconscious mind. And your conscious mind is the problem solver, right? It's the go in front of the computer, figure out X, Y, Z. So you need to have your conscious mind talk to the subconscious mind. And to fix problems, to solve problems, you need to ask questions. So let's use Jack again. Jack triggers something about my mom. Okay, maybe I take 5 minutes to myself and I ask myself a bunch of questions. All right, why was this a big deal? A bunch of answers come in. Is there something I can do about this right now to make me feel better? Okay, a bunch of answers come in, right? And you just start asking yourselves questions, and even if you don't have the answer, right? Because some of these are so deep, like decades and decades of work that you need to fix and heal. But what's going to happen is you start to shine a light onto the shadow, onto the subconscious mind. And it's a great analogy. I forget who said it, but sometimes the crying baby or the crying child doesn't actually want anything. They don't want food. They don't want what they're crying for. They just want to be seen. They just want to be picked up. They just want to be held. And the subconscious shadows are these really young parts of us, right? A lot of them are formed when we're really young. So they're just babies. They're kids. So if we can just take a little bit of time and ask them some questions and see them a little bit, we can start to foster this relationship with it. And then maybe Jack makes a mom joke, and this is so silly we're using mom jokes for this example, but Jack makes a mom joke and you can actually laugh about it. And that's how you know when you're healed, when you can make jokes about it. When I was a kid, I had all these autoimmune disorders and really intense stuff, and for a while it was really hard for me to talk about. And now with at least people I'm close, and apparently strangers on the internet too, I'll make jokes about it, and it doesn't really faze me. Whereas maybe 5-6 years ago, I can't really joke about that. So when you start joking about it, you're healed, or at least a part of you is healed, right? And the only way you can get there, maybe not the only way you can get there, but a really good way to get there, is to foster some kind of relationship with that damaged part of you, that shadow, that subconscious mind that you're just pushing down. So that's it. I hope this helps. If you have a shadow, sit down with it. If you like this, subscribe. I have nothing to sell you right now. I think there's a free group you can find somewhere on my YouTube channel, but no pressure. We're not doing anything with it right now. So really the best way you can support, show some love, drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe. That's all I got. Bye.